Hello folks, and welcome to the S.O Hacker Log. I am your script kiddie in security land, and this is a network that is being monitored by Security Onion. If you want a detailed description of how to configure Security Onion and deploy it into a small network, then see the link down in the description. In this episode, we are going to install Codex into a Kali Linux virtual machine and use it to do some basic network enumeration. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So AI coding agents are everywhere, and Security Onion now has AI features, and my programming friends are telling me I need to get into using agents. So I am going to install a coding agent on Kali Linux so that I can start seeing what it is capable of doing. And as always, I am monitoring this network with Security Onion, so we'll also see what Security Onion sees from these agents. Here I just have Kali Linux installed in VirtualBox running on Windows, and it is connected to my test network. And I've discussed installing Kali Linux into VirtualBox in a previous video, and I'll put that link down in the description. This Kali Linux box does have access to the internet through the test network that it's connected to through a bridged adapter, so that it has its own IP address on the network and is seen as a separate host. And that is just because I want Security Onion to be able to identify the host that is doing this offensive behavior. Codex is the AI agent that I'm going to use, and I need to install it onto this Kali Linux machine. So I am going to open up a terminal here, and I'm just going to zoom in on the prompt here a little bit. So I need to see if Node.js is installed in this Kali virtual machine. So the first command that I'm going to type is node -- version. As you can see, it is not installed, and it's asking me if I want to install it. So I am just going to enter Y here. Okay, so this is a brand new Kali Linux virtual machine. This is literally the first thing that I've done with it, so I need to update the packages here. I'm just going to type the command sudo apt-get update, and it will go ahead and pull an updated package list here for us. Okay, now that that is done, I am just going to go ahead and run the command sudo apt-get install -y node.js npm. And it will go ahead and install Node.js for us now. This operation actually takes a while, so I'm going to go ahead and just skip to when it's done here. So now I am going to run the command npm install -g at OpenAI/Codex, and that command needs to be run as sudo. Now that is complete, I am actually just going to run the command codex version to see what version of Codex I'm running here. And as you can see, it's 0.139.0. Now Codex will run just by typing in Codex here and entering that. Codex is a not free service from OpenAI, so you have to sign into a paid account or have a device code or your own API key. I have a subscription, so I'm just going to sign in using that. When you select that option, you get redirected to an authentication web page here, and you can just go through the authentication process, which is what I'm going to do now. Once you are signed in here, you can go ahead and start using Codex. It asks me if I want to trust the home directory of Kali here, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit yes. Once I do that, I am actually using Codex. I do not want to be using Codex in my home directory of Kali, though. I want to put it into its own directory, and there is no way to change directories, as far as I know, from within Codex. So I'm just going to close this terminal window so that I have a bash prompt again, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a new directory in my home directory specifically for this codex work that I'm doing right now. Then I'm just going to go ahead and navigate into that directory, and I'm going to open up Codex from inside of that directory. Okay, so now that I am running Codex from inside of this new directory that I made for it, I actually just want it to do a simple network enumeration for me and record some of the results. Now, these are some fairly specific instructions that I gave it, but it is a pretty straightforward thing that anyone who was trying to enumerate a network might actually do. So once I run this command, it will spend a fair amount of time actually going through different commands and prompting me if I want to proceed and giving me some feedback as to how the process is going. It does take several minutes to complete, and it does prompt me multiple times throughout this process. So after running commands and prompting me for a few minutes, it actually produces a pretty accurate statement about the test network that I have it on here. And then it writes both of the files that I asked it to write. I can scroll through this terminal output that it gave me here, and it did actually do a pretty good job of enumerating the hosts that are on this network here. It is also worth mentioning that this security statement that it makes about this network is pretty spot on, actually. These observations are pretty good and are realistically things that ought to be addressed by whoever the network administrator is, in this case, me. Now, I do have a security onion server monitoring this network, and just to drag that output over here from another screen, you can see that this was a pretty noisy process. Anybody who was watching this network would definitely have seen this happen. In the next episode, I am going to see what happens when I ask Codex to actually interpret some of this output from Security Onion and tell us what it thinks is actually happening here. So that should be interesting. So the last thing that I'm going to do here is just put this Mermaid output into an interpreter here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the home folder here, and I'm going to navigate to this Codex Lab subdirectory here, and I'm going to open up this Mermaid file so that we can see this output right here. Then I am just going to open up a web browser here, and I am going to navigate to a Mermaid interpreter. Once I am there, I am just going to cut and paste the output written in this file into the interpreter window here and let it build this little diagram for us. And when I do that, that actually gives us a pretty accurate human readable graph of this test network here that I'm using. So that is it for what I am going to do in this episode. If you got value out of this episode, please like and subscribe and give me your thoughts in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next episode.